Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thanks so much for tuning in here on Friday, March 17th. Happy St. Patrick's Day to all of you out there. Remember, wear your green. You don't want to get pinched out there on the hard streets of Duval County today. Jaguars, they've been quiet, right, on the free agency front this week. Not a lot of activity. But we do have the draft coming up at the end of April, a little over a month away now, month and about week and a half away. The NFL draft is, so we've got pro days going on around the country right now. And one of the things you'll get from pro days, you'll get players talking to media and telling reporters different teams that they have meetings set up with. Yesterday, Tyjae Spears, star running back out of Tulane, has kind of carried the green wave on his back the last couple years, their offense. He told reporters that he was meeting with the Jaguars and a couple other teams as well. What does that mean? It doesn't mean the Jaguars are necessarily targeting him at some point in the draft. It could mean a myriad of different things. Could be that the Jaguars are trying to get some insight from him on the Tulane program or on a different NFL prospect from Tulane. They've got a few guys this year that are interesting, right? A couple of them are linebackers, off-ball linebackers, so I'm not sure how interested the Jaguars should be in adding more off-ball linebackers in the draft after signing Foye last year and bringing in Devin Lloyd and Chad Muma in the draft. But nonetheless, the point remains, there's a myriad of reasons the Jaguars could be meeting with Tyjae Spears. One of those reasons is they could just be interested in finding out more about this kid who is incredibly talented and exciting on the football field. So I decided today we would go ahead and look at Tyjae Spears, kind of do a draft profile of him so y'all can understand more about this prospect, why the Jaguars might be interested in him, and how he might fit in with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So let's go ahead and jump into it. I think the first thing you see when you pop on Tyjae Spears' tape, and Tyjae Spears, 5'10", 200 pounds. First thing you see, speed, acceleration, really quick feet. Like as soon as this guy touches the football, he's off to the races. Really, really fast athlete. So you always love to see that from a runner, right? A guy who can pull off those chunk yardage plays at the next level. He runs with great vision, which aids his speed and acceleration, right? When you have speed, acceleration, and quickness and lateral quickness, and you have vision, you can combine all those things to hit the right hole almost every single play, as long as a hole presents itself. And it's not just vision at or behind the line of scrimmage, vision in the open field. He has such a great feel for where defenders are coming from, whether it be behind him, in front of him, to his left flank, right flank, whatever it may be. He seems to have eyes all around his head and knows where defenders are coming from. Again, only 200 pounds, not a huge power back by any stretch, right? I mean, Travis Etienne's not a power back, and he came in at 215 pounds. But he has enough power to finish runs, enough leg drive and mass to finish runs, right? He usually is not getting pushed backwards to finish his runs. He's usually falling forward, which is certainly something you want to see. And I think the low center of gravity at 5'10" certainly helps, and so does the smaller tackle radius. Tremendous balance, in my opinion. Contact balance and just balance in general. Flexibility as a runner. These things allow him to evade defenders, to a guy squares up on him and only gets a hand on him because he's so evasive and flexible and the balance, again, to just have guys bounce right off of him. Defenders just seem to fall off of him at times. Runs a lot from the gun at Tulane, which is what you want when you're talking about a Jaguars runner for the most part, a guy of his style, running style. And so, the Jags, they run a lot of RPO. They run a lot of read option type stuff. Tyjae Spears fits in with that mold very well versed at that. Really impressed at the Senior Bowl, right? Another notch in his cap, or feather in his cap, I should say. You have really good tape for a couple years, then you go to the Senior Bowl and show out. Then you have a really good time in the pre-draft lead up at the Combine and at your pro day. Between those numbers combined, you're talking about a 39-inch vert, which is huge for a running back, shows off the explosiveness. So does that 125 broad. And then yesterday, We don't have an unofficial time for his 40-yard dash, but coming in between 4.47 and 4.49, that sub 4.540 for a running back of his play style is huge. And look, this is a guy who you pop on the film, you might think he's a $185, $190, but the fact that he can carry 200 pounds on his frame, and you do see him being able to finish runs with power, I think it bodes well for his projection to the next level, being able to hold up at the next level. You've got some other runners with his play style, with some of his skill sets that come into the league a good bit lighter. And another example of that this year is Devon Achane, who certainly has world-class speed, it looks like, a little bit more when it comes in the way of, finishing speed than maybe a Tyjae Spears does, but Spears has plenty of speed to get the job done at the next level. He'll be one of the quickest, fastest backs in the NFL every time he steps on the field. He also has big hands, 10-inch hands. You like to see that for running backs. They have the ability to control the football, an overlooked aspect of projecting guys to the next level. And speaking of projecting him to the next level, like I said, it's all adding up, right? The combine, the pro day, the Senior Bowl, the tape over the last few years. I think with his size and skill set, he's going to be a 15-touch guy at the next level, maybe 20 touches in a game where you just really need to ride the hot hand. But I think you get him with a smart offensive mind, Doug Peterson, and you're going to have a lot of fun out there. Just thinking about what you can do, not only, subbing him in for Travis Etienne and not losing any sort of explosiveness, right? But also getting them on the field both at the same time. They both have receiving skill sets, right? I think you could get one of these guys in the slot. You could have them both in the backfield. You could do a lot of different things with these two runners, and it's just going to make life easier for Trevor Lawrence. And so I think that makes a lot of sense. I currently have a second-round grade on Tyjae Spears. Again, he has enough size, I think, to be at least a 15-touch carry or 15-touch guy per game. I think 15 to 20 touches is going to be right in his wheelhouse. I think he's good for that. Again, I'm not worried about his frame. Can you add a couple pounds to it here and there? Can you add some mass to the upper body? Yeah, I think you can. I don't think he's maxed out in any way, but I'm comfortable with where he's at entering the NFL from a size profile. Again, I have a second-round grade on him because I think if you get him 15 to 20 touches a game, both as a runner and a receiver, you're going to get some explosive plays out of him every single game. He has that type of game-changing ability, and so that's why I have a second-round grade on him. I think he's going to end up being an impact player on an offense, on a really smart offense with a smart offensive play caller, whether that be the head coach or offensive coordinator. I think the Jags make a ton of sense for him. Now, they do have Travis Etienne. They do have JaMychal Hasty. They have Snoop Connor, who projects more as a power player, but you haven't seen much of him. So you're talking about the size. I feel comfortable with it. Maybe not everyone would feel comfortable with it. The production. How about over 3,000 career yards, total yards, 427 rushes, 48 receptions, 34 touchdowns. The athleticism, we've talked about it. Yes, it's there. The skill, as we've talked about. Yes, it's there. It's all there for him, in my opinion, coming out of Tulane. He's probably going to go in the third if I had to guess. Could he fall to the fourth round? Could the Jaguars take a swing on him if he falls to day 3 of the draft? Absolutely. I don't think he should fall to day 3. Again, I think this is a day 2 player all day. Could the Jags be interested in his services in the third round? To me, after drafting Travis Etienne in the first round a couple years ago, that would be a little rich, especially with how productive Travis Etienne is. And look, as much as we want to have fun with these offensive weapons, there are only so many mouths you can feed. And in a running back room or in an offense like Doug Peterson's, where it's more predicated on getting the ball to receivers and tight ends than it is handing the ball off to the running back, I'm not sure how it marries up with just their overall needs and how often they would be able to get this guy on the field. Now, If you say in year one, Tyjae Spears is playing the JaMychal Hasty role, do I think he's going to upgrade that role for you? He might not be able to do everything as well as JaMychal Hasty from an operational standpoint. The pass blocking, knowing all the plays, understanding the ins and outs of the NFL as a veteran. But is he going to give you, I think, an added level of explosiveness that JaMychal Hasty might not have? Yeah, absolutely. I definitely see that in Tyjae Spears. So it'll be interesting to see if the Jaguars, are they just meeting with him to gather intel about other prospects, or do they have genuine interest? We don't know. A lot of the players that they have drafted over the last handful of years between different regimes, but a lot of the players that they have drafted have been players they've brought in on formal interviews, and that's what they're doing, according to Tyjae Spears himself. Told reporters that at his at his pro day yesterday. So I'm interested to see if the Jaguars end up taking a swing on this guy at some point in the draft. If they do, they're going to get an exciting player. They're going to get a player who can do a lot for you on the offensive side of the ball. Potentially have special teams value as well. Did not take a ton of returns at Tulane, but I think the skill is probably there to do that. Again, that's a complete projection. But we'll see how it all plays out. Just wanted to kind of freshen the talk up here a little bit, talk about some non-free agency stuff, right? It hasn't been all that exciting this week for the Jaguars, for Jaguars fans. And sometimes that's going to be expected when you have a team up against the cap, when you have a team that has a lot of young players they're expecting to develop in the second year in a system. And look, they're not going to stay radio silent. They're going to address some needs, I believe, before the draft. We'll see how it plays out. But just wanted to talk to y'all about another formal interview reported. Again, Tyjae Spears, 5'10", 200-pound running back, incredibly electric out of Tulane. He's checked all the boxes throughout the draft process. I think if the Jaguars are going to go get him, he's going to bring a lot of fun, excitement, and playmaking ability to Duval. Thank y'all so much for tuning in here on St. Patrick's Day. Hope you have a really, really fun Friday, St. Patrick's Day, and weekend. Hit me up on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo. Let me know what you think about Tyjae Spears. You can also drop a comment in the comment section below. Hit the like and subscribe button on your podcast platform of choice. If you listen instead of watch on YouTube, please subscribe and review. Really appreciate y'all's support, Duval. And of course, you can check out genjag.com. Pick up some new Duval gear. Have a good one.